My name is JoDee, and I'm here with Iris, and we are going to go over lactation education. We are community health workers, doulas, lactation counselors, and some other things. Some other things, tags, tags, OHP assistants. Yes, a jack of all trades. Yes. So we're going to start out. Iris is going to kind of explain just the different phases of milk production. Okay, so as we stated, there are different phases involved with lactation. So we'll start where milk production actually begins. So it begins during pregnancy. At about 16 to 22 weeks during your pregnancy, your body will automatically initiate, start producing the colostrum. At birth, there will be some hormonal shifts after the baby is delivered, along with the placenta. At this point, it just kind of kickstarts your body to preparing the milk for the actual breastfeeding process. After that, from birth to about 3 to 5 days, you will have colostrum. So colostrum is baby's first milk. It's a yellowish fluid, so it's often referred to as liquid gold. And it's highly concentrated and packed with essential nutrients, and it plays a role in establishing baby's immune system, gut health, and just general nourishment. So after colostrum, approximately 3 to 5 days postpartum, you will go through a transitional milk. So at this point, you'll have a mixture of colostrum and mature milk. During this phase here, many people notice signs of engorgement, which are breast swelling, soreness, just uncomfortableness. It's not the best feeling. The good news is this only lasts about 24 to 48 hours, and it's completely normal to feel this during this time. And so our last phase here is the mature milk, which is once you have, this is the established milk supply. You'll notice it's no longer a yellow color like colostrum. At this point, it will appear a little bit more white. And this is just a perfect balance of carbs, proteins, vitamins, and minerals that baby needs for growth. And at this point, this is controlled by supply and demand. So supply and demand. So this is a key concept when it comes to breastfeeding. It's about how your body produces the perfect amount of milk for your baby. So start with the demand. Once your baby latches and suckles, it automatically signals your body to produce more milk. Your body will then supply and responding to that demand by producing more milk. So the key concept here is to remember that the more your baby nurses, the more milk that your body will automatically start to produce. So what happens if your baby isn't breastfeeding as often or as effectively? So your body will adjust accordingly. Your body begins to slow down the production of milk because it understands that the demand for the milk is lower. Every baby is different, so their needs may vary. Some babies like to feed more frequently than others, so that's completely normal. And then just remember that breastfeeding is a partnership between you and your baby. So by responding to the cues that we'll talk about in a moment and allowing them to breastfeed on demand, you are ensuring a steady supply. So here we have baby's communication. So your baby should be feeding based on feeding cues that we'll talk about in a moment. And they should be feeding on 10 to 12 times in a 24-hour period. So as you see here, the early cues to look for would be an active light sleeping state. You can also look for REM. You'll know that your baby is in REM because their eyelids will start to flutter. This might be hard to identify as a first-time mom, but as you spend more time with your baby, that should become a lot easier. So they might be moving their lips, rooting, looking for breast. This is optimal time to breastfeed. So if we can identify these, this would be the perfect time to breastfeed. So moving on to mid-cues, a little bit more movement. They might be awake, stretching, kicking and waving, and moving their fist to mouth. These are a little bit easier to identify. This is also a really good time to feed baby. And finally, late cues. So if and when you get to the late cues, you'll notice because they'll be crying, they'll be agitated, visibly upset. At this time, you do not want to at the breast. You want to bring them back to a more calm state before offering them the breast. So here we just have a visual representation of the size of a baby's tummy. So on day one, you can see that their tummy is the size of a cherry, so very small. Day 3, we've got a walnut here, and then on week 1, an apricot, and even at 1 month, it's the size of an egg. So due to a lot of reports of mothers feeling like they don't produce a lot of milk, we just kind of want to give you a visual representation that your baby doesn't need a whole lot of milk. They don't need to feed for a really long time. A few suckles will do the trick, especially on the first day to week 1. All right, so why do we breastfeed? So there are a lot of reasons why people choose to breastfeed. We've mentioned before that breast milk provides optimal nutrition. So it has nutrients, antibodies, and enzymes that promote healthy brain development, growth in general. It also enhances their immune system. So it does have antibodies that just protect baby from illnesses, infections, and allergies. And then just promoting this bonding and connection. You'll see this over and over in our presentation. So it's so important. You get that from skin to skin, releasing oxytocin, which is the hormone that, our love hormone. So we want that during breastfeeding. So breastfeeding has also shown to reduce the risk of chronic disease for both babies and parents. So for babies, breastfed babies, they reduce the risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, asthma, allergies, and some cancers. And for the parent who is breastfeeding, it lowers the risk of breast, ovarian cancer, type 2 diabetes as well, and cardiovascular disease. So breastfeeding is also cost effective. So you don't have to go out and buy formula. You don't have to buy baby bottles or anything like that. There is minimal preparation, so it's always at the right temperature, ready to go. Lastly, breastfeeding is sustainable. So good for the environment in general, reducing waste and carbon footprint by eliminating the need for formula production, packaging, and transportation. Pass it over to JoDee.
So I am going to explain kind of a good foundation to start with breastfeeding. And that's the 9 instinctive stages. So that first hour is really crucial for breastfeeding. The baby goes through 9 instinctive stages during that skin-to-skin contact during that first hour. And it's immediately after birth, and it occurs naturally, and it goes in order. So really neat when you have baby to kind of pick up on the stages. Like you're like, oh, it's familiarizing itself, and oh, it's awake, and it's amazing. So we're going to start with the first stage, and that's that distinctive cry immediately after birth. This is when the baby's lungs are expanding and just coming to the world. The next stage would be the relaxation stage. During this stage, the newborn exhibits no mouth movements. The hands are relaxed. This usually begins after the birth cry, and the baby is skin to skin with mother, hopefully with a warm, dry towel kind of over it just to keep that heat in. The next stage is awakening. So during this stage, the newborn exhibits small thrust movements in the head and shoulders. It usually begins about 3 minutes after birth. Again, everyone's timeline is different. There's certain factors that kind of prolong each stage. So take that generally. So the newborn in the awakening stage, they'll do head movements, open eyes, show some mouth activities. Then we'll go into activity stage. During this stage, the newborn begins to make increased mouthing, sucking moments. Reflexes become more obvious. This is about 8 minutes after birth. And then there's rest. So rest is kind of sprinkled throughout. Baby's just gone through quite a journey coming into the world, and there's going to be kind of periods of rest within that first hour. Then we're going to go to stage 6, and that's crawling. The baby approaches the breast during this stage with short periods of action resulting in reaching for the breast and nipple. This stage usually begins about 35 minutes after birth. And fun fact is amniotic fluids inside contains the same compounds as your breast milk. So the baby smells that breast milk and it knows what it's smelling because it's been inside of it for 9 months. So that's really neat. And sometimes you'll see them like smelling their hand just to like, oh, hey, I know that smell. It's pretty cool to see. So stage 7 is familiarization, which I've been having the word that word. And during this stage, the newborn becomes acquired with the mother by licking the nipple, touching and massaging the breast. The stage usually begins about 45 minutes and lasts for up to 20. When we go into suckling, and the newborn takes the nipple, attaches, suckles. This early experience of learning to breastfeed usually begins about an hour after birth. So if you've had pain medicines or epidural, sometimes that can kind of slow that process. But like I said, everyone's a little different. So just be kind to yourself and be in the moment, enjoy that experience. Stage 9. So this is the final stage, and it's sleep. Mom's tired, baby's tired, and just kind of enjoy the moment. Please be safe. Make sure someone is watching if mother and baby are both breastfeeding. And then we're going to go skin to skin. Iris?
Okay, so skin to skin, this is probably one of the most important parts to breastfeeding. If you're wanting to breastfeed, it's kind of the foundation set you up for a long-term successful breastfeeding journey. Best practice for skin contact is immediately placing baby. So as soon as baby comes out into this world, onto mother's chest. And we would leave baby there until they complete the 9 stages that JoDee just went through. So they would complete their first feeding. And you can also carry on with skin to skin throughout the early weeks, months, so it doesn't have to be just immediately after birth. So skin to skin contact creates a warm and peaceful environment. And then we'll go into some specific benefits to skin to skin. So one of the benefits for skin to skin is shown to improve latch and breastfeeding initiation. It also enhances milk production, so just being close to them releases a hormone prolactin, which is the hormone that produces milk. It also helps baby regulate their body temperature. So that's one less thing that baby has to worry about. We're helping them do it once they're on our chest, and they can conserve their energy and just kind of focus on being a baby, growing and feeding. Number 4 is shown to improve bonding and emotional connection. Again, I said you can see this throughout the presentation. So just producing that oxytocin, that love connection. And then lastly, it's shown to reduce stress and crying for both baby and parent. So it lowers cortisol levels and it just hopefully promotes a good breastfeeding experience. So myths and facts here. So there are a lot of myths about breastfeeding. We're only going to go over a few today. So the first one is breastfeeding always hurts. So this is actually a myth. Although this is common, there are a lot of mothers that report pain during breastfeeding, but it is not normal. Breastfeeding should not hurt. So at first, if a woman is experiencing pain during breastfeeding, that is a sign that they should seek an evaluation with either their provider or a lactation consultant or counselor, JoDee, to hopefully not escalate that pain further. So another myth that we're going to go over today is you won't produce enough milk if your breast feels soft. So soft breasts do not necessarily mean a low milk supply. So as your milk establishes, your breast will actually soften. So that is completely normal. And the last one here is that breastfeeding mothers should avoid certain foods. So this is also a myth. There are no clear foods that you have to cut out of your diet. You can eat as you normally should. It's actually recommended to eat that way. Although keep in mind that there may be foods that cause sensitivity in babies. So on that note, they have researchers that are studying it right now, but they're actually linking cow's milk to colicky babies. So if you don't know what a colicky baby is, those signs would be fussiness, gassiness, just inconsolable crying. So if you are noticing those symptoms in your baby, then it'd be a good idea to eliminate cow's milk.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. Garlic. They love garlic. Research shows. Green flag. So how do you know things are going good? So baby is going to be gaining weight. They typically lose a little bit of weight after they come in, but if you are producing enough milk and having good latch, that weight should be coming back. Another green flag is frequent feeds. So baby is wanting to feed, it's getting that nourishment and wanting to eat more. So that's good. That's going to help that production too. Then wet diapers is another a green flag. So just be mindful, they should be going 8 to 10 times a day. There's audible sucks and swallows. You can hear the baby nursing. This is going to indicate a good latch. Also, you want your feeds to be pain-free. So you're going good if you have no pain, because breastfeeding should not hurt. Also, the baby is meeting milestones. So if it's getting that nourishment, they're going to be starting to make eye contact, that smiling, you know, they're getting fed. Another one is I like to notice when they're done feeding, they'll release their hand. It's kind of a gauge, or relax their feet. So when they're full, you'll see them like a little gas gauge. So what are some red flags? Some red flags are difficulty latching. So if it's starting to hurt, if you notice bleeding, that's some things to look out for. There's supply concerns if you feel like you're not producing enough or the baby is not getting enough. Again, painful feeds, engorgement, slow weight gain, and supplementation. All of these things, if this is happening, it's advised to go to a lactation counselor, a consultant, or talk to your pediatrician, because there could be just little tweaks to do to turn those red flags into green. So when might supplementation be necessary? So there is, I have such a glare, insufficient milk intake. So that's, again, if the baby has a poor latch and is not getting enough milk fed to them, or the feeding is ineffective. If you have low milk supply, so when the mother's milk cannot accommodate to baby, and if there's infant weight loss or poor weight gain. So what to do, you can monitor mother's milk supply and support it. You want to do frequent breastfeeding, encourage the mother to continue breastfeeding as often as the baby shows those hunger cues. You want to pump. If baby is unable to effectively breastfeed, the mother should pump regularly to stimulate that milk, that supply and demand. Breast compression. So breast compression during breastfeeding or pumping can help that milk flow and that transfer. So Iris, how are we going to supplement?
Okay, so when and if you reach that point where you need to supplement, you want to determine an appropriate supplement. So we're going to go over a few today. So first recommended choice for supplementation would be Mother's Own Express breast milk. As again, your milk is made for your baby, so there's nothing out there like it. Second option here is donor human milk. So we can look for a local milk bank. I keep saying food bank, but it's milk bank. So we can get human milk to baby. And the last one here, if human milk is not available, an appropriate infant formula may be used as a supplement. So when choosing a formula, we do recommend that you make this choice with a provider, just so they know, or if you choose to make that choice on your own, make sure that you are advising the pediatrician which formula you are providing for baby. So once you've chosen the supplementation, you'll choose a method to feed baby. So there are a couple here, and they're very similar. So cup feeding, spoon feeding, and syringe are very similar. I know it seems crazy that a baby would know how to drink out of a cup, but they actually pace themselves a lot better. So they use this a lot with preemies, and it actually avoids nipple confusion if you're wanting to continue breastfeeding. So same with the spoon and the syringe, you just apply the supplement in there and then kind of help baby, and baby will feed on it just fine. So if these other methods are not practical or effective, you may use a bottle, but we do want to make sure that we are looking for a slow flow nipple and using case bottle techniques to just help facilitate that feeding.
So, did you know Good Shepherd has lactation resources? We actually, we have 3 like that stand out. We have the Berkeley virtual birthing classes. They have modules on lactation education as well. And then Family Birth Center has partnered with Nest for virtual lactation consultants. And you can just make an appointment with one of the consultants if you're lactating, and they can help you one-on-one. And they speak Spanish as well. I think several different languages. And then ConneXions, that's us. So we have 3 breast or lactation counselors, and we can connect you to resources if you need other resources. So those are our 3. And then our references, I highly recommend looking at 9 instinctive stage videos. They're amazing. There's some like where baby is like leaping for that breast. It's amazing. And that's it. Thank you.